All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Mohit. I'm a developer advocate here at Salesforce, and welcome to another episode of codeLive. Today, we are going to be all talking about Prompt Builder and how to unlock your data with Prompt Builder. My name is Mohit. I'm a developer advocate here at Salesforce, um, pretty much helping you all with content. And today I have the pleasure of having Ruben. Ruben,
Mohit, it's such a pleasure to be here with you and all of our incredible developers today. My name is Ruben, and I am a product manager on the Agentforce platform where I get to work on Prompt Builder. So, all of the incredible innovation that we're going to talk about today, that we're going to demonstrate today, is work that me and my incredible team get to do every day.
awesome, awesome. I know, Ruben, you're very busy shipping some of these features that we'll show today. So thank you for taking time for our developers here. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of our forward looking statement. There are features that we are shipping this week. Actually, some of these features are not there in production. So definitely make sure that you know our forward looking statement and do not make any purchasing decisions based on features that are futuristic. With that out of our way, Ruben, I know a lot of our developers here have already played with prompt builder, but some of them, they are still new to this prompt builder and sort of figuring it out, like what is the use of prompt builder, where they can put this prompt builder into actions. So, how about we level set everyone and sort of try to answer like why prompt builder?
Absolutely. I think everybody here is familiar with large language models and the power that they offer our enterprises and our teams to become more productive and more impactful. But the thing is, those models also come with some significant drawbacks. At times, they can lack contextual or up to date information, which means that they can output information without appropriate context that
Hmm.
isn't accurate. Sometimes that's called a hallucination. And that can be really problematic, especially when we're working on business critical functions that have real world impacts for our customers and our teams. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that is the essence of what grounding in Prompt Builder is designed to solve. We call this grounding at Salesforce because we're basically providing these language models with more contextual information so that their outputs are more accurate. With Prompt Builder, that data that we're grounding on can look like a variety of different things. So that can be data from CRM, that can be data from Data Cloud, which we're going to talk a little bit about. We're even going to demonstrate that actually today. And we're going to make sure that that includes both the data and the metadata, which is often called the data about data. And we'll see in a moment what that looks like in real life. And in addition to that, the types of inputs that these prompts can take is way more than just your traditional ChatGPT text input. We can do
Mhm.
structured and unstructured inputs in addition to multimodal inputs. And we're going to talk about that a moment in our roadmap slide too.
Awesome, awesome. And just for everyone, right? You know, these large language models, they have amazing capabilities. You know, they give all those generative capabilities. And this prompt builder is how do we bring all these amazing capabilities of large language models and trying to solve some of the the problems that these large language models have, and how do we bring that generative AI capabilities into our applications and agents? And that is where a prompt builder sits. It's kind of middle between all these large language models and your applications and agents. So really excited for that. How about we go through our developer workflow? I know some of you have gone through this, but it might be repetitive for some of you. But remember that we also have folks who might be very new to it. So how about we quickly go over the steps and the developer workflow with Prompt Builder?
Absolutely. And Mohit, I love that we're making this as accessible to every skill level and experience level as possible because a big goal of me and my team is to make sure that whether you're an experienced developer with years of insight on the platform or whether you're brand new and just tackling the learning curve, that this is an accessible and powerful tool for you. So let's walk through the steps and see how that's true here. The first step is something that probably everybody here has had experience with, which is creating the prompt instruction. This is probably most similar to what you've experienced when you're just playing around with ChatGPT or other chatbots. But you'll notice in this image that there's some new things there. We have some merge fields and references to CRM records. This is an example of the grounding that we're going to do. Now, how does that grounding work? Well, let's take a look at step two. That's where we add the grounding data itself. So we've written the chat instructions in step one. Now in step two, we're going to select different parts of the Salesforce platform that we want to use in order to ground our prompt. So all of the amazing things that you've used to configure our platform before, flows, Apex, custom objects, all of those things are available in our resource picker. So now that we've added the grounding data, we now need to select which model is best to process the prompt. This can be based on a variety of factors that are unique to your organization. Think compliance issues, context windows, and a variety of other factors. All of those things are empowered by you to select the best one so that whatever choice you make, you can use by bringing your own large language model here. And finally, you can test that language model with the grounding data and the prompt instructions to make sure that it works properly before you go live with it.
Awesome, awesome. Just four steps, right? Remember, these are the four steps. And, remember that all of you now have access to Developer Edition orgs. So if you just Google for Developer Edition org Salesforce, you'll get a link and you can pretty much get this thing for free and then turn on Prompt Builder there and get some hands on and experience this yourself. So, something that we want to put out there. Also, something that I want to remind is when you're selecting models here, you can bring your own model too. So we support standard models that we provide, but then your organization might have built your own model, or maybe you would have fine tuned some of the models from some of these base models. You can bring all of them as well into the prompt builder, and there is an added layer of security too. So we ensure that there is no data that is going from your CRM into these large language models. So something to remember. With that, I know we talked about grounding, but it's always overwhelming, like number of ways we can ground data here in Prompt Builder. So I think we put together this slide, Ruben. How about we just quickly how about you walk us through this slide so everyone is on the same page with respect to grounding?
Absolutely. And this is the heart of what my team has been focusing on, which is thinking about all the different ways we can provide our language models with up to date and relevant context to ground on so that they give you the best output possible. Now, what does that look like? Well, there's a couple of examples of it. The first big category is our classic CRM objects. These are things that have made our platform powerful before. You've heard about the power of the platform in the past. All of those things are things that now you can use to inform the outputs of your prompts. So what does that mean? It means you can invoke Apex or a flow in your prompt, and the prompt can use data from that in order to make sure that it is giving you the most up-to-date information possible. Ditto for things like S objects and custom objects. So that's part one. Part two is data that's more unstructured, data that's often stored in data cloud. So this is information that doesn't fit cleanly into your CRM, but is relevant for data cloud because that's where you store it or that's where you use our zero copy ecosystem. So think things like retrieval augmented generation and data graphs. Finally, say you have information that isn't even text. Say you have PDFs, for example, of customer reviews. Those are things that ordinarily would be a really big challenge to ground on. But now we're introducing multimodal inputs so that you can use PDFs and images to directly inform the outputs of your prompts without having to do any translation between the original data source and what you ground your prompt on.
Awesome, awesome. And these are all the grounding techniques that we have. And remember, data cloud really plays a major role here, because sometimes you might have different systems and your data might be segregated across these systems. So data cloud sort of allows you to bring that data, federate there, or unify all that data together. So now you have more context about that specific aspect. Like, for example, if you're working with customer records, you have more context now and overall 360 picture of your customer. So then your agents or applications have more context, right? And then when you're writing prompts and when you ground with that data, definitely your agents are going to be more accurate. And specifically, when you use it with prompt builder, you can store all these prompts as templates and templatize and use it further. So how about we move on to the demo section? We have some demos crafted here to show you some of the features that are coming specifically around multimodal capabilities and things like that. But before we kind of hop onto that, How about our use case that how about we discuss our use case for our demo, Ruben?
Absolutely. So, Mohit, what we're going to be looking at today is a food delivery platform that's onboarding a new menu and menu items for its end customers. And we're going to see how they're automating and personalizing this process using Prompt Builder.
Awesome, awesome. So think of apps like Uber Eats or DoorDash that you might have used. I mean, they are food delivery platform, and they have to connect to all these merchants or vendors who supply food, and then connect those merchants with customers. So they have different applications. Of course, they use Salesforce and Data Cloud to manage all that operations. And how can Prompt Builder be used to solve some of the business use cases that today requires some more manual, repetitive tasks? So that's what we're going to be looking at. So our first scenario, Ruben, that I want to walk everyone through is how do we ground prompt templates with multimodal data? Now I know your team is hard at work, and I think this feature is coming this Friday, is what we are shipping, Ruben.
That is the anticipated plan, and yeah, just stay on the lookout for it within the next coming weeks.
Yes, so definitely it's coming out uh, really soon here. But I really wanted to give them a taste of it, like how does it look and how does it work. So how about we take our demo use case and see it in action. So let me zoom in a bit so it's easier for everyone to just follow through the demo here. um, so what we are looking here is a simple applications, and they are using accounts to store all their merchants, and menus are linked to accounts. So simple data model here. But if you look at the typical menus in restaurants or any business here, the menus are in the form of images like this. So for example, you see there is this image that has the dinner menu card. And we need them as a structured data here as menu items, because what happens is a lot of times these menu items are used in workflows and flows and other automations. So we need them in a structured format. So that's our challenge. And typically it required someone to um, put in this information in the system today. So what I'm gonna do here is show you how you can simply use the prompt template along with the file input that we have, the multimodal input that we have. So how about I click on this button that I created called create menu items. So it's basically going to pop up a screen flow here. So this is a screen flow, and what I'm going to do here is it should pop up that screen for us. There you go. So it's a screen flow, and I can select that content document that's attached to this record, and I just hit next. So really what is happening behind the scenes is I have a prompt template that can now take this file input, and I have written some prompts I'll show you. What I'm doing is I'm converting those prompts into uh, set of structured data and then inserting them. So you can see this menu card had almost, like I would say, eight number of records here, right? Along with their prices and the description, and you can see the menu items now created. So how did I build this feature in? So to build this feature, right? What I'm doing here is using uh, a prompt template. So this is a prompt template, and let's look at this prompt template. Just give me a moment here. Okay, so let's look at the prompt template, right? Simple. So first we assign a role to the prompt, that is you're an AI assistant that extracts structured data from images or scanned menus. And then I say your task is to identify the menu items and return the information in the JSON format. And you can see there is an output format here in the JSON format. And now I say now extract the menu items from the attached image and respond with JSON only, right? And then if you see the test inputs, you can import a file now, right? And of course, these prompt templates can be used in agents as well as in apps. One of the examples I wanted to show was app use case here. So this is a simple screen flow. A lot of you might be familiar already how to write these screen flows. But what you see here is I'm getting a content document link, which basically gives me entity which has links to both the content document and the screen flow. And then I say get files attached to the menu. I let the user select that specific file, because we could have more than one files. And now what I'm doing is I say extract menu item action. Now this action is a prompt template. So prompt template action. So I can put an input here, which is a file input. And next, what I'm doing is I'm saying parse menu items. So you can see here I'm parsing these menu items. And then once it is parsed, and of course this is an Apex action basically that's parsing the response. And then I loop over these menu items and use transforms element in flows, where I'm transforming back that Apex object into the actual S object. And then of course a lot of you might have already guessed it out. It's just create menu items action, and that is doing this simple insertion. So this is how it's working. Now, one thing I wanted to point out though is you might think that uh, this thing is just OCR capabilities, like just like previous technology, but it's actually more than that. Like you could like really ask conversationally questions to this document. So it's definitely not OCR, because OCR is just text extraction, but this is not just text extraction. This is capabilities of the model to be able to like turn this into conversational. So just to give you an example, right, I have this another button here called ask menu card, where I can select a menu card and I can ask any questions. Like, for example, here I'm asking what appetizer options do you have? And the model can like now reason over this text information. So it can consume that text information, it can reason over it, and then you will see that it will rightly answer all the appetizer options that we have. So you see, so these are the type of capabilities that you'll use in the agents. And we'll enable this for service agents too. That's the feature that will ship along with this feature. So you should be able to upload documents like images or PDFs. That is going to come later, but you should be able to upload them, and then have your customers interact with that document in real time. So this is almost like real time rack capabilities with file attachments and data in Salesforce. Um, so you see here. So let's look at that prompt that I wrote to make that happen. It's pretty simple. Again, you are an expert assistant. The user has attached an image. You may ask questions about this content. So analyze the image, answer the question. And the question here is an input, as you can see, where I can just throw in an input and a file, and this prompt starts responding. So hopefully that give you a quick overview of what are these multimodal inputs, and they are shipping to the prompt builder here. With that, let's look at another demo. So this was showing real-time RAG using the capabilities that we already have. So let's answer some questions here for all of you here, Ruben. There are some questions that are coming. So before we move on, I would like to pick up some of these questions. One of the questions that I have here is, how much information can Agentforce process, like any high level guidelines on what we know about context windows, given how much data we can put into these prompt templates?
Absolutely. So this is going to depend on which type of model that you select. So depending on the model, you will have a different context window size. So some of them will be 8,000 tokens, some of them will be 32,000. But part of the reason we allow for model selection is to enable you to get some configuration around that.
Awesome, awesome. And there is another question that we have here. Um, which says, so this will allow us to perform AI case classification from unstructured ingested data like email to case. Can those kind of use cases be also solved? Um,
Correct. Correct. So that is information that could be logged in Data Cloud for your 360 degree view of your customer, and can now be used to support a case classification based off of that. In fact, we're going to see an out of the box case summary in a moment that's powered by Prompt Builder. That's a very good example of that.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, this I can answer. Can the end user upload an image file and read content at runtime? Yes, that file input is an input. So, unfortunately, today I had some glitches actually on the service agent configuration, but we'll definitely have that feature as a part of part of everything that's going to go live. The next question that I have, and next we'll hop on to other demos, is how can I utilize other engines for analysis in Agentforce like ChatGPT model? I don't think this is more relevant. Actually, you meant to say bringing your own models, and OpenAI models, we do allow them. Um, okay. Let's see if there are any more questions. Maybe one more we can take and move on. Um, okay, so this is a nice segue into the next segment here. How to use Prompt Builder to access data from Data Cloud and feed that to agents in Agentforce and ask questions. So this is really relevant because actually I'm gonna show you through the next demo. One sec. Here we move on to the next demo here. Okay, let's actually move on to the next demo that I have for all of you here. Um, so grounding prompt templates with data cloud data. So how do we ground prompt templates with data cloud data, right? So there are different ways to ground prompt templates with data cloud data. For example, as we talked about, right, when you have RAG, retrieval augment generation, let's say you have a library of documents and you want to ground that within the prompt template. So for those kind of use cases, you need data cloud, because then it's no more just sticking to records, right? It's bunch of files, like for example FAQs that you might have, those kind of use cases where you really don't need like real time RAG, right? But you still need like a retrieval augment generation. That's where data cloud fits in. And also in general, right, data cloud can have unified data, and if you ever want to do RAG with that, prompt templates allow you to do that. So let's take a demo example of that. To show you, what I'm going to do is I'm here in Agent Builder, and within this Agent Builder, what I've done is I've created a simple topic called answer questions for from Pronto documents. And here, if you look at the knowledge, now we can attach a knowledge, which usually is a data library. We call this Agentforce data library. Here, you can create various data library, and here I've created a data library called Pronto documents, which is of type file. Now, there will be different types of data types here that you can have within Agentforce data libraries. It will be knowledge, it will be files, it could be ensembler, which we'll talk here, ensemble retrievers and stuff. We'll talk about it. But for now, imagine that you have a data type of files, and I have all these files, and this could be like hundreds of files here. Um, and here you can see I have some business license applications from different vendors, some insurance certifications for their restaurants, some agreements that they had with Pronto. All of that is there here. And now once you have like a data library of data, files, what you can do here is you can start asking questions for your agent directly here. So, for example, let's take a query something like this, where I say, which store has both the food certification and, let's say, and business license, right? Which has both the food certification as well as the business license. Now, this query requires, agent to like scan multiple PDF documents, because here it's not just about one piece of information. There is separate documents for food. There's separate document for thing. Let's see. Let's something else. Sometimes you have to just try again. Let's try this again. It's been hanging around here for some time. It's been inactive for some time. Let's give a refresh and quickly ask the same question here. Let me see if the prompt template that I have is active or not. Okay, so that seems like it's active. So you see now it's responding. So you see it came back with the answer. So it was thinking for some time, and now it came back with the answer saying the store that holds both the food safety certification and the business license is the Savory Spot. So it came back with the answer, because now it had to look at multiple files to actually come to this answer. And that is where data libraries are helpful, and this is where you need data cloud when you have to do a RAG with unstructured data with file sizes of certain size, right? So now what I want to show you is, here I have the Pronto documents, right? So what we do is, so how is this all working, right? So once you have this Pronto documents as data library, we at Salesforce create some things for you automatically. So one of the things that we do is search indexes. So here you can see we already have a search index. So what search index does is, so once you have all these documents within Agentforce data library, we create a search index, and that search index has an index for all the different chunks. So you see there's the index here, and you have two different objects. One is the index object and the chunk object. So we have indexes and the chunks. So this whole documents that we have gets chunked into a specified size. And so that you don't have to like do a lot of plumbing with your prompt builder and this indexes, typically you will write like a vector search query to be able to feed those information back to your prompt template. So really, when you are answering a question, you execute a query against a vector database and get that information, and then put it into the prompt and then send to the LLM to really format this and give you a precise answer, right? Basically, you're supplementing LLMs with the information that it doesn't have. So to do that, you still need a plumbing between these indexes you need and the prompt builder or the prompts templates that we have. We make it easier by using retrievers. So here you can see that what we do is we automatically create retrievers. So if you go to Einstein Studio tab, you will see a bunch of retrievers. So we already have this retriever. There's a retriever called File Pronto Document Retriever, and this is the retriever that I'm using for the action. So I have this retriever, and if you look at my prompt, so the prompt says answer the question from the user provided the context, and the context here is a retriever. So you can put an API name for the retriever, you can provide that search text, and now it will be able to scan through all these documents that are there in this library and give you a relevant answer. So you see the retriever name also, we don't fix it. You can use dynamic retrievers now, and that's one of the capabilities that Ruben and team added. So I can just put a dynamic retriever here and have dynamic retrievers sort of passed on to these prompt templates. So remember that when I was showing agent builder, this topic has an action. So that action here has variables like answer questions from Pronto documents. So this has instruction, but more importantly, the retriever ID, I have fixed it for now, but this could be something that you could basically give it from Apex action or other actions depending on the query to make it really powerful. So that's another capability that we have added. The other things that I wanted to show you was another feature that the team is working on, and this is also something that will come very soon, is ensemble ensemble retriever. So what is an ensemble retriever? So typically when you create a new retriever today, of course we automatically create these retrievers, but you can always create search indexes and retrievers manually too. But let's say you create a retriever today, instead of individual retrievers, you can create an ensemble retriever. So an ensemble retriever basically combines the results of multiple individual retrievers, and then you can rank them from most to least relevant. So in this example set, right, what I can do, for example, here is, let's say I have I have a file Pronto documents which are storing all the food certifications and certifications. But then I also have safety violation reports from various vendors. And now I want to create a scorecard based on their certification and violation reports, etc. I can create an ensemble retriever. So next I can say next, and here I can say um, I can add in the fields that I want the retriever to retrieve data, and then I can just save this, and then we'll need a name. Let's say compliance, um, compliance and operational, let's call it compliance and operational retriever, something like that, or ensemble retriever. Yeah, so you can combine them and you can save it. And really, what happens at this point is, of course, we'll have re-ranking capabilities and stuff like that. That's coming up here. But once you have this retriever, again, you can just activate it, and you can use this within the prompt builder. So if I refresh my prompt builder, I should now also have an option for an ensemble retriever. I'll show you. So you can ground now not only with an individual retriever, but also with ensemble retriever. So just to show you, right, in the resource panel, you will see there is something called ensemble retriever, and you will start seeing that retriever right there, and you can prompt against that. So this is also another feature that is coming up shortly here, and thanks to Rubin and the team are working on this feature. Um, with that, having demonstrated, other thing that I really wanted to highlight here was, data graphs. So that is another thing to remember, is like you also have data graphs in data cloud. So really what data graphs are, it allows you to put together a graph with multiple entities. So here you can see I have a simple example where I have this individual, which is nothing but a contact in Salesforce, but in data cloud we resolved into a unified individual using the identity resolution mechanism. But if you can see here, we have pronto orders, because orders are coming up from a third party system. In this case, this is a Snowflake. It's coming from Snowflake, the orders and the order line items. So you can see there is this whole graph that I was able to construct. And now in my prompt builder, what I can do is I can simply have a prompt template, and the template can take the resource. So if you actually go to that contact object, you will now also have data graphs. So now you can see that customer orders 360 data graph from data cloud. It's available for us to ground information. So those are the capabilities that you can definitely have. um, let's take some questions, Ruben, before we kind of move forward here. We have some great questions coming from our developer community here. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in with questions this morning. So, can prompt builder query data across multiple objects in data cloud?
Yes, they absolutely can. In fact, a data graph is an amalgamation of several is a relational map of several data model objects. So yes, this is absolutely something Prompt Builder can do.
Yeah, and something that I really wanted to show here is when we create these prompt templates, everyone. So just to show you, right? When you create prompt templates, now we also have DMOs, which are data model objects in data cloud. So really, you're not limited now. So let's say I create a new prompt template, right? And here I say I want a flex template. Let's just put um, data cloud DMO grounding. So let's say, here you see objects are your CRM objects, but then you can also select data model object. And now you will see that you can select the data space of your data cloud and bring in data model objects too. Of course, graphs are a really easier way to do this. But let's say, you're working with one specific data model objects and you want to bring in as a grounding source, you can definitely. So you can keep adding resources here, different types like free text objects, and then DMOs too. So something I wanted to show here, everyone. um, okay, moving on, let's see if there are any other interesting questions here. So question here is, this is more data cloud question, I guess. Where these data graphs actually useful? Very useful, as I showed you in the example, right? Let's say you have multiple systems and your data, like your orders is in Snowflake, and your inventory management and applications sitting somewhere in SAP, and then you have CRM of about the customer information in Salesforce. You can use data cloud to amalgamate or federate and bring all these unified data in one specific data graph. So now the data graph knows that for this customer, these are the orders that are there in Snowflake, these are the inventory information, this is the tracking information in the tracking system. And now you can bring that data graph directly into your prompt template and just write prompts against it, right? Or provide that prompt template for your customers in agent. So you can ask your agent different questions, and now the agent has knowledge about everything. It just doesn't have knowledge about only one system, right? Your agent is aware of the whole customer context, and so it's more responding with more accurate information. um, Let's see. So, how were you able to select file as input in prompt template? Can you show that? Definitely, I recommend that you go to the recordings and check it out, because we are recording this in the interest of the time. But there is a file input now. So, really, what you can do there is, when you create the prompt template, you can say one of the object type is file, and that's a great question. So, when you actually go to the prompt template, you can say one of your object type is file, and you will see that it gets file input as another one. So we'll definitely have documentation for all of you to follow through once we have this feature going on. So okay, so moving on from here. Again, thanks for chiming, everyone. This has been great. So the next thing that I want to talk about, and I'll let Ruben talk us through. I know there are features that came recently into Prompt Builder, and we talked so much about agent that we missed some of these features. Actually, we talked so much about Agentforce and features, but I know there are some features. Would you walk us through some of the features that we might have missed, Ruben?
Absolutely. And Agentforce is super exciting. We're really, really thrilled about that. These are also some incredible opportunities that we've built through for all of our customers. So, starting out, we're incredibly excited to introduce 1GP and 2GP packaging support. Couldn't be more thrilled for the opportunity this provides our ISV and SI partners, and looking forward to seeing how they are able to consume this to build on our Prompt Builder platform. Second is we are offering global and multi-language support. This is over 40 languages that are already supported on the Salesforce help site, now available in Prompt Builder. I want to be super clear about this. What does that mean? It means that now you can execute prompts in any of those languages with a single prompt. You don't need to make more than one prompt to execute in more than one language. Huge productivity unlock, especially for all of our multinational customers and teams out there. And finally, we have the ability to override out of the box templates so that you can take even more advantage of all of our powerful out of the box work.
You know what, Ruben? I can actually show that ability to override out of box prompt templates. I think this is a great feature. Not a lot of our developers might be aware of it. So let me actually show you one feature that is my favorite that I always use. So one of the things that I use is generate account summary component. This is a neat little component. Actually, it's called Einstein summary. So you can really put it on any page and just click through it, and you will see that it will generate a summary for someone who wants to like not go through these records and all the related to this record. They just want to quickly glance over the records and get a summarized version, and you can continue the conversation with Agentforce here just by clicking on this Agentforce. But if you look at this, how this has been built, um, you will see that in the builder, right? I just had to drop in this Einstein summary component. And one of the things that you'll see is here you can choose the prompt that you want. In this case, the account summary is the prompt that I've selected. And if you look at that prompt, that's a standard prompt template that we give. It's a standard prompt template. We write all the instructions for you, and we have some guidelines. But sometimes, you might want to customize these, and this is applicable to any standard lightning components that we provide. Like a lot of these components that we provide to work with these models in sales or service applications, especially if you're using service like case recommendations or reply recommendations, features like that. All of these templates now are standard available for you to customize. So you can go to the prompt builder, see those templates, and all you need to do is save as new template. Basically save as new template and start customizing it to your need. So here I could save it as, account summary pronto. um, and what you could do is you can start like customizing it. So once you save it as a new version, you will see that it lets you edit these templates. So now you can edit these templates. Once you edit it, you can pretty much activate, etc. So pretty simple functionality, but pretty powerful, because now you're able to customize this whole standard out of box prompt templates that we give, be it SDR templates or sales coach templates. All of these are templatized and you can override them. And thanks to Prompt Builder team for helping us deliver that. Okay, so the last, I would say, last two slides here, but really, I just want everyone to be aware of the deployment surfaces. Now, we covered a lot of things, I know, but we just want to put out a summary here of deployment surfaces for Prompt Builder. Ruben, would you walk us through this slide?
Absolutely. These are some of the deployment services that we're offering in Prompt Builder. And I'm really excited to talk about this because it provides an even greater scope for a lot of the work that we're doing. The first is agents. So Prompt Builder is very much part of Agentforce, and you can use prompts while creating your agents to inform their responses. Huge opportunity and really, really big value add. Second is out of the box features and components. A question that we get all the time here in Prompt Builder is how do I get value fast from my prompts? And one of the biggest examples that we have of that is our account and record summary component, which you're looking at right here. So for generate account summary, what you're looking at is basically Prompt Builder getting invoked via API headlessly so that in a drag and drop component, you are getting the account summarization capability. It's literally just a few clicks in order to get a huge value add that teams in Salesforce and teams outside of Salesforce are already using. And that's something that you can use across the platform. You can invoke Prompt Builder via API so that you can insert it headlessly into any component that you want. And finally, we've talked a lot about how you can use things like flows and Apex in Prompt Builder, but it works the other way around too. You can use Prompt Builder in flows and Apex. What you're looking at in this image on the far right is an image of a prompt getting invoked in a flow. So the output of the prompt is what's used in the flow for an automation. This is another example of how deeply integrated we are as part of the Salesforce platform.
Yeah, and the REST APIs too. I mean, if you build these prompt templates within Salesforce, you can, if you're building an application or an agent, let's say outside Salesforce platform, we definitely have APIs for you to access that functionality and the responses from the prompt templates too, securely. So that's something. This is great, actually. A lot of times we forget about the embedded capabilities that developers can build now with these large language models. And I think this tool is a bridge. As I say, I always say this is a bridge between this large language model capabilities and the generative AI and your applications and agents. This is kind of that middle bridge, and you can pretty much use this tool to solve some of these repetitive business processes. Both, this is non-deterministic way, but let's say you need deterministic data set here. You can definitely, bring in, as Ruben was saying, you can write Apex or flows within this and bring in. So there are some features to look forward to. I know there are some other things that are coming, Ruben. It's pretty exciting, like what we have in next, I would say, a month or so. I think most of these will be there. Could you walk us through some of these that we have in the roadmap here?
Absolutely. So the first is PDF multimodal support. We talked about this earlier. So classic example is I have employee invoices that are listed as PDFs. You'll be able to use those to directly ground your prompts without having to translate that into any other type of data. Next is ensemble retrievers. You'll recall that just a moment ago, Mohit actually demonstrated this. You can now search and rank across many sources, or what we call search indexes, at once. Really exciting productivity unlock for all of our teams. And finally, we've talked a lot about getting up-to-date data for our prompts to make sure that they are giving us the best answers possible. We are now taking the next step in making sure we get as relevant information as possible by allowing you to search the World Wide Web for data through our web search retrievers in Prompt Builder.
Yeah, and this is also coming very soon. Actually, I mean, the org that I had, I played around with this, and it's pretty exciting to have web search too, because sometimes you need the data from the web. We have some questions. How about we take some questions here, and before we kind of wrap this up, so let's see. So one of the questions that I have here is, can we get prompt template response in different language dynamically, like passing preferred language as a prompt via Apex or a flow as an instruction? Is that possible, Ruben?
I believe You should be able to do that, but it is not something that I have tested before, so I would look to the Trailblazer community for confirmation on that one.
Yeah, and we'll get back to you on this. Actually, like dynamically being able to like have one prompt and pass it around. So there are so when you think about multi-language, I just want to make it clear there are two aspects to this. So the first one is being able to write that prompt within within the language of your choice itself, and we have added support for that too. Like there are some languages that we support now where you can, like, instead of writing your prompt in English, you can just write it in French and it will work. um, that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is being able to run that prompt, but then the response we translate back to the language that you wish, the language of the user in this case. So that is also a feature that is there. So there are these two features. So we have to look at your question around, like, when you say dynamically passing, do you mean that you have the prompts in English and then the language translations to happen in the language of your choice? Maybe you meant that, and we'll get back to you to see if there is a dynamic variables that you can directly pass the from your Apex and flows into the prompt template. I'll get back to you on that. Is there any other questions? um, let's see. So there is one more question here. um, yeah, so this is a question that I can answer. So um, from David, is there a guide that I use to build a vector DB? It's just not quite figured out how to query it. So we do have documentation. Actually, if you search for data cloud vector search, we have documentations how to write your query. The good news is you don't have to write it, actually, because the retrievers are meant to do that. Like, you can have hybrid vector search. You can configure it to re-rank, etc., everything through that builder. So um, I mean, I used to write a lot of these vector searches for a lot of these demos, but once we have retrievers, I hardly remember writing them because most of it is taken care. But sometimes you need, and that's why Apex actually supports writing those, and we have docs for them. I'll send across in case you want. With that, actually, unfortunately, we have to like keep moving in the interest of the time here. Um, so I just want to take a moment and thank you, Ruben, for joining us, and also thank you everyone for spending your time, valuable time. This was really useful. Um, and then feel free to connect with us. Like, we are there on the Trailblazer community. These are some of the channels where we keep publishing our content. In fact, every week we now have some Agentforce Now content shipping. So codeLive is happening once in every month, and then there is workshops that are happening. So there's a lot of enablement content that is going out, so please look for them. And these are the channels how you can find them. With that, thank you, everyone. I'll get to the queries on the LinkedIn after this call and try to answer some of them for you. And we will definitely see you on the next one. Thank you, Ruben. Any parting thoughts?
Just want to say a big thank you to our incredible developer community. As always, the Trailblazer community and myself via the contact information listed is always available as a resource. A huge thank you to all of you for making this work so special.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See ya.